Today's San Francisco 49ers report is presented by Manscaped. For all my fellas out there, you can get 20% off and free shipping on the most elite men's grooming products at manscaped.com/49ers. Make sure you use the promo code 49ers for that deal to apply. We'll tell you more about Manscaped coming up here in just a few moments. As for what we're getting into on today's show, ESPN ranking the San Francisco 49ers roster heading into 2023. And they did these positional breakdowns where they ranked, thanks to NFL execs, coaches, players, scouts, all of the positions on the football field, all 11 of them. And they came up with the top 10 players at each position, and the 49ers very well represented. So here's that information. ESPN ranking the NFL's best players at every single position. They had all these execs, coaches, scouts, players as well, picking their top 10 at every single position. And the 49ers, ladies and gentlemen, had 8 top 10 players. That goes to show you just how stacked this team is heading into this upcoming season. And they're going stroke for stroke, par for par with another NFC rival in the Philadelphia Eagles in what has become a newfound rivalry in the National Football League. The 49ers and the Eagles both tied with 8 players inside the top 10 at those individual positions, followed by the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champions, with 6. Dallas Cowboys had 6, and the Buffalo Bills with 5. Let's first begin here with ESPN's edge rusher rankings. Look at who's at number 1. Nick Bosa, followed by Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, TJ Watt, Hassan Reddick, Max Crosby, Brian Burns, Matthew Judon, Von Miller, and Joey Bosa. I've continued to say that Nick Bosa is the best pure pass rusher in the National Football League. How could you not vote him first when he's the reigning Defensive Player of the Year and he's put together consecutive seasons in which in 2021 he had 15.5 sacks, which at the time was a career high, coming off that torn ACL in 2020. And then he duplicates that success and is even better in 2022 with 18.5 sacks, 48 quarterback hits, and the analytics back up the numbers, man. He was a truly special and impactful player who opposing offenses have to account for on every single snap. Nick Bosa analytics. He was the league's sack king last year with 18.5. He produced a 15.3 pressure rate on his pass rushes in 2022 per next-gen stats, and his 48 quarterback hits led the NFL by 12. A pretty large gap there. Before we continue to move forward on today's show, make sure you subscribe to the San Francisco 49ers Report. We are 330 people away from 82,000 subscribers. That means that we're going to inch closer and closer to getting that plaque from YouTube once we reach 100,000 subscribers. If you're in the market for daily and year-round Niners talk, this is your go-to spot. From edge rusher to off-ball linebackers, another Niners player coming in at the top of this list, and also Dre Greenlaw coming in at number 10. But let's talk first about Fred Warner. Last few years, he has been, I think, by a considerable margin, best off-ball linebacker in the NFL. Roquan Smith is a really good player, but Warner has played in many more big games, and in big moments, he's shined. So Fred Warner at that top spot, Roquan Smith at number 2, Tremaine Edmonds of the Bills at number 3, Matt Milano, his teammate, at number 4, Devin White of the Bucs rounding out the top 5, followed by Demario Davis, Shaq Leonard, Nick Bolton, who had that scoop and score against the Eagles in the Super Bowl, C.J. Mosley, and Dre Greenlaw. We're going to talk about both Niners here. First up, Fred Warner. Through 5 seasons, he is tied for first among linebackers in passes defended with 35, 4th in tackles with 633, and 5th in pass breakups with 37. An AFC scout on Fred Warner saying this: he's the perfect new age linebacker, great against the pass, but can handle himself against the run, a big athlete with plus leadership and communication. That leadership and communication, I think they have both been pillars for the Niners' success in making it to the NFC Championship game in 3 of the last 4 years, with that Super Bowl appearance last coming in 2019. I also think Fred Warner's availability has been great. He has missed a total of 1 game in his entire career. 2018, 2019, 2020, 16 games played. In 2021, he missed 1 game. And then in 2022, he played all 17. And you look at the numbers, he has been an outright tackling machine. He's so good against the pass. The play that he made down the seam against the Dallas Cowboys last year, breaking up that pass from Dak Prescott to CeeDee Lamb, going stride for stride with CeeDee was stupid. And he has the quarterback hits to his name as well. He is never going to tally large sack numbers because he's an off-ball linebacker. As for what an NFL exec said about Dre Greenlaw, he made a huge jump. Relentless, extremely physical, took a big jump in coverage last year, obviously benefits from the guys around him, but he made so many big plays last year. I feel like people didn't know who he was for a while, but he's a major player. He's also one of the most jacked linebackers in the NFL, and he's been somewhat undervalued and underrated over time. Now, the Arkansas product has missed a lot of time. As you can see, he only played in 3 games in 2021, missed a couple of games in 2020. 2019 did play all 16 games, and then last year played 15. And that was the year where he really made things happen. And for the Niners to lock him up on the contract that they did, they were able to get some great value on that deal for the player that he was last year, who, like Fred Warner, is really good against the pass, but is an also instinctual player. And San Francisco locked him up to that deal where in 2023, base salary of $4.1 million, dead cap of 1.4, a cap hit of 5.5. Last year, he played at a borderline all-pro level. So if you get an all-pro caliber player at $5.5 million, you'll take that any day. And then in 2024, base salary goes up to 8 with a cap hit of 9.6. Again, very well worth it if he's able to stay on the field. In 2023, who will have a better season between Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw? You see the options here. Get those options in the comment section. Now, a lot of you might not be familiar with Javon Hargrave, but he is the perfect addition to what the Niners like to do defensively and a much-needed addition to the 49ers defensive line because they needed to get Nick Bosa some help. He comes in at number 5 in ESPN's top defensive tackles. Aaron Donald, I didn't think he had a good year last year. I thought Chris Jones and Jeffrey Simmons were better. Quinnen Williams got paid by the New York Jets, an emerging young player. Hargrave got that 4-year deal worth more than $80 million from San Francisco. Dexter Lawrence got the bag from the New York Football Giants. DeForest Buckner, wish he was still with the Niners, coming in at number 7. Deron Payne, Cam Hayward, Jonathan Allen, rounding out that list. And for Hargrave, this is a player who, yes, he's in his 30s, so there's a little bit of a risk, but he's a little bit of a late bloomer. Cool story for him. He went to an HBCU and goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, is able to make some things happen. He signed with the Philadelphia Eagles on a large contract a few years ago, certainly made good on that deal, and didn't have a better season than 2022 when he had a career year. 11 sacks, top 5 among all defensive tackles, 57 pressures, 16 quarterback hits, 10 tackles for loss. He has really good leverage. He is not going to be great against the run. So that was an area of concern for San Francisco that reared its ugly head against the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. He doesn't help you there, but he does help you get after the quarterback and takes the pressure off of Nick Bosa. NFL personnel director on Hargrave here, the newest Niner. He has natural leverage, quickness, and power. That combo makes it hard for offensive guards and centers to really have a chance because he can vary his rush toward their weaknesses. Hargrave ranked 2nd among defensive tackles and pass rush win rate last year at 17.6, trailing Jones. He finished 3rd in 2021. Hargrave was balling out. Hopefully he's going to continue to ball out for San Francisco. And if you want to clean up your balls, do so with Manscaped, the #1 leader in men's grooming products. Join the 8 million men who have purchased what they have to offer. And for the faithful, 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/49ers, promo code 49ers. I'll put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. With Manscaped, cannonball! It's summertime, and it's not about the size of those cannonballs. It's about making a splash with our friends at Manscaped. Prep for barbecue season by making sure your grill master has the hottest dogs that the summer's ever seen. When you're at the cookout, let the meat speak for itself, if you know what I mean. With Manscaped Performance Package 4.0, it's time to get ready and not sweaty by heading to manscaped.com/49ers. The Performance Package 4.0 has everything that you need to guarantee you'll have the most mouth-watering treats at the party. They have built the ultimate bundle for your summer grooming. Lawnmower 4.0, safeguard technology so you won't get cut up down below the belt. They can even throw in 2 free gifts to the Performance Package 4.0, Manscaped boxer briefs, as well as their travel bag. Wearing sandals with some nasty toenails during the summer months, nah, that ain't it. So take a look at the Shears 2.0, a luxury nail grooming kit. And this kit includes stainless steel nail cutters, tweezers, and grooming scissors. As a treat, you should add in the crop mops to your order, a moist towelette made specifically for your beach balls. It's the best midday refresher to stop your popsicle from melting. So head to manscaped.com/49ers, promo code 49ers. To safety now. I told you the Niners very well represented across the NFL for the top players at all of these positions. Talanoa Hufanga at number 9. Micah Fitzpatrick, Derwin James, Justin Simmons, Budda Baker, Javon Holland, player who I really like, Jesse Bates, Kevin Byard, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Hufanga there, and then Antoine Winfield. First team All-Pro last year for the Polynesian sensation, and in his second year for him to have that imprint, he was so good. 97 tackles, 9 pass breakups, 4 interceptions, and 5 tackles for loss. If you're watching during our live show, what if I continue to say? The Niners like football players. They don't always put stock into these crazy athletes who don't have good instincts. Talanoa Hufanga, one of those players who has great instincts. We saw that last year. He really does play like Troy Polamalu, and I'm not saying that because of the Polynesian connection. NFC exec, backing up what I've always said, because he knows ball, like your boy knows ball. Instincts, he said. He gets the ball, doesn't run fast, but is smart, in the right position, in that defense. That goes a long way. ESPN with some numbers on Hufanga. He was one of 5 NFL safeties with at least 95 tackles, 4 or more interceptions last year. On 40 targets as the nearest defender, Hufanga averaged 235 yards and deflected 9 passes. Those numbers, very, very good, if you didn't already get the point. If you love Hufanga's game, if you like Hufanga's game, type Huff down below. Huff, 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 Huff. ESPN's top tight ends. You already know George Kittle's going to be on this list, right? Number 2, behind Travis Kelce. I actually thought that Kittle could have been a little bit lower on this list just because of the quarterback instability, some of the injuries that he's run into over the last few years. But when Brock Purdy took over for Jimmy Garoppolo, George Kittle's game really increased. Last 4 years for Kittle, it's not like the production has been crazy. You know, he got that deal a few years ago, and he was a more than 1,000-yard guy. He hasn't cracked the 1,000-yard mark in the last 3 years. Now in 2020, injured. 2021, only missed 2 games, or 3 games, excuse me. And then in 2022, missed 2 more games. But again, when Purdy was on the field slinging it, Kittle was on the receiving end of a lot of big plays for this Niners offense. 60 catches, 765 yards, 11 touchdowns. A reason why he's not always too involved in the passing game is because one of his strengths is to be a blocker. But as a pass catcher, he can still get the job done. NFL personnel man on Kittle to ESPN. So much inconsistency with the quarterback and durability issues that have held him back a bit, but he's still top-notch. He's the most explosive athlete at the position, probably the best at creating separation and yards after the catch. Kittle's been an all-time Niner. Love his personality, love his leadership, love the grit, love the toughness, love the positive energy that he brings to the field. Young players can certainly look up to that. Now let's round out with the top offensive tackles here. Trent Williams, this is left tackles and right tackles, still getting that profound respect across the National Football League. Voted as the #1 offensive tackle in the game on a list that includes some really, really good players. Laramie Tunsil got that big deal this offseason. Tristan Wirfs, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Penei Sewell, Andrew Thomas, Rashawn Slater, Christian Darrisaw, as well as Colton Miller. ESPN on Trent here. Good numbers, too. Williams has been a revelation for San Francisco, earning back-to-back first-team All-Pro nods as an ideal fit for Kyle Shanahan's scheme, along with the team high 92.4 pass block win rate. That means that 92% of the time when an edge rusher is matching up against Trent Williams, he's putting him into the ground. Only 6 left tackles since the AFL-NFL merger in 1970 have earned multiple first-team All-Pros after age 30. Walter Jones, Anthony Munoz, Andrew Whitworth, Joe Thomas, Willie Roaf, and Williams, some of those players in the Hall of Fame, by the way. NFL exec and NFC exec on Trent Williams. He's an incredibly gifted player. He has lapses and relies on that talent too much at times. There is some wavering with the physicality with him, but when he turns it on, he's nearly impossible to stop. And I think that sometimes that's the issue that some people have with Trent Williams. There was that story from, I believe, Jesse, a Niners content creator last year, in which he was tipping plays with his stance, left foot further back as compared to what it is on a running play. And yeah, sometimes when you watch him, he does rely on that natural ability. As he gets a little bit older, I think that he's going to have to rely on the technique and the smarts a little bit more, but there's no question he's still playing at an extremely high level. So there you go. 8 players inside the top 10 at all of these positions. The 49ers have the blank best roster in the NFL. I've been doing a lot of prep here on the show, as you could probably tell with all of the information that I've been passing along this week, and I'm going to continue to do that. I'm reading Warren Sharp's Sharp Football Analysis preseason preview. He has the Eagles and the Niners as the 2 most talented rosters in the NFL. I think they're top 5 as far as overall talent goes, no doubt about it. Depth, a little bit of a concern. So with that, let me know where you think the Niners stand.